Hey everyone, welcome back to Cooking with the Wook. Today what we're going to do is we're going to be making some king cake, and then we're going to make bread pudding out of it because it's Mardi Gras. Happy Mardi Gras. Okay, so the first step in our king cake is to make the dough. And it's fairly straightforward, although it does have a number of ingredients. First things first, we're going to start off with 3 teaspoons of yeast. Let's go ahead and dump that in the mixing bowl there. And in addition to the yeast, we're going to have about a half a cup of sugar, roughly. In addition to the sugar, we're also going to have 1 cup of half and half at room temperature, and 1½ sticks unsalted butter melted. And you just want to take a fork or a whisk, just kind of whisk it up for about 1 minute. After approximately 1 minute, we want to add 6 egg yolks. And we want to beat those up for approximately 1 minute. Once you've got the liquids mixed in, go ahead and add 1 heaping teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 2 teaspoons salt, zest of 1 lemon, and 4 to 4½ cups of white flour. Then go ahead and attach your dough hook and crank the sucker up and let the dough incorporate. This can take several minutes. You may or may not need to add more flour. If you do, try to limit it to about 1/4 to ½ cup more flour than called for. Once the dough has begun to try to climb up the dough hook, you know it's done. So we'll go ahead and take a well-greased bowl, and we'll set the dough into the well-greased bowl and let it double in size. This should take about 1.5 to 2 hours. While the dough is rising, we'll go ahead and make the filling for the king cake. So what you want to do is go ahead and juice 1 lemon. You want to take about 2 blocks of cream cheese at room temperature and 1 cup of powdered sugar. So it's been about 2 hours, and I'm going to go ahead and roll out the dough. Now you want to try and get this down to about 1/2 inch to 1/3 of an inch thick, and preferably about 6 to 8 inches wide and about 20 inches long. Traditionally, a king cake is a ring, but because we're going to make bread pudding out of this, I'm not going to make it into a ring. Instead, I'm going to make it into a long roll. And then we're just going to go ahead and spread out the lemon cream filling on the bottom half. Try and get it even, but it doesn't really have to be. Just kind of work it on there. And then we just want to fold the top of it over. And seal it on the edges. Once it's sealed, just go ahead and roll it on over. And seal it again. Once you've got it sealed, go ahead and form it into a sort of bread-shaped mass and turn it so the seal is down. Once you've got the king cake roll sealed, go ahead and dust up a pan with flour and just go ahead and put it on there, preferably in a U shape unless you got a big old pan. Once you've got it in your pan, go ahead and cover it with plastic wrap and let this sit for about 45 minutes. While you're doing that, you can go ahead and preheat your oven to about 400 degrees. Okay, so it's been about 45 minutes, and what I'm going to do is just gently brush the top of this with some milk or heavy cream before we throw it in the oven. And we're going to leave it in the oven for about 25 to 35 minutes until the top of this gets pleasantly brown. Of course, it's up to your own judgment, depending on how brown you'd like it to be. Alright, so while the king cake is baking, what we want to do is to make the first part of the bread pudding mix. What we want to do is take about half cup of white sugar, and approximately 3 cups of heavy whipping cream. Additionally, we will also be adding 1 cup of normal milk. And we'll want to cook that on medium heat until it begins to simmer. After approximately 30 minutes, your king cake should be nice and golden brown, as we can see here. And what we want to do is go ahead and set that off to the side, put it on a wire rack. Hopefully at this point, the bread pudding mix should be just about simmering. If that's the case, go ahead and set it off to the side. Once you've removed it from the heat, we'll want to, at this point, add 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And 1.5 tablespoons of vanilla extract. And we'll want to just stir this up until that butter dissolves into the milk mixture. Okay, so the next step, once your king cake has cooled off somewhat, go ahead and slice it into about inch-long strips. You want to use a serrated knife at this point because it's a lot easier. The next step would be to take your cream mixture and slowly, at this point it should be cool enough to do so, whisk it into the egg. You want to do this slowly. At this point it should be cool, so it shouldn't matter, but do it slowly nonetheless so the egg doesn't curdle. Moving on to the final step, what we want to do is to take the egg and cream mixture and slowly pour it over our king cake. We'll want to give this about 30 minutes or so to absorb what liquid it can before we bake it. At this point, it would be a great idea to preheat your oven to 350 and to cover the king cake in the egg and cream mixture as much as you can. We'll want to let it absorb as much of this as possible. It will result in a tender end product. At this point, about half of the cream and egg mixture should have been soaked up by the king cake. So what you want to do is just go ahead and throw some tin foil on here, poke a few holes in here so the steam can get out. And we'll want to cook this for about 30 minutes at 350 degrees. So as you can see, I've just taken it out of the oven here, and the cream and egg mixture is beginning to solidify around the edges. Still slightly liquid in the middle, but that's alright. The residual heat from the oven should firm it up. Alright, so there it is. King cake bread pudding. It's pretty tasty. Recommend you try it out. And happy Mardi Gras. Thanks for watching.